Hi guys, welcome to this week's video. I'm going to be chatting a bit with Zach. Thought we'd spice it up and have a little interview this week. We're going to be talking about how Zach became a Christian. Zach, do you want to introduce yourself? Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah. I'm Zach. I've just finished my second year studying maths, and I'm going into a third year, a year in industry. I'm doing some work for Jaguar Land Rover in the next year. So I live in a little town called Aldershot, which is like near Guildford, kind of like 40 to 50 minutes outside of London, down south. I wouldn't expect you to know where it is. It's not that deep, but it's fine. I've lived here my whole life. School and church, all of that's around here. So I've lived here, and then I moved up to Birmingham in 2018 for my first year, and now we're here. Nice.
So you've been in Aldershot your life. What's your family like?
What's my family like? It's cool. My mum and dad, and I live with my younger sister, and I've got a couple of half siblings as well, who live in like Luton and London, a lot older than me. So we see them a lot, but right now it's just me, my mum, dad, and my younger sister living in Aldershot at the moment.
So what was growing up in Aldershot like?
Yeah, it was good. So I've been going to church my whole life. My family, my parents are Christians, so I've been going to church in the Aldershot area. I go to church in the town over. I've been going to church my whole life, and my family have always been like really keen to share their faith with me. I've been fortunate to go to some really good schools as well, actually a couple of faith schools. So Christianity also wasn't too. It was fairly common to hear about in my upbringing, which is I think really, in hindsight, really helpful. I think I can owe a lot of what I know and a lot of my personal development in my faith to the schools that I went to and the people that I knew.
So you had lots of contact with Christianity. Did that make you inherently become a Christian, or did that take a bit longer?
Absolutely not. Although I would pray with my parents, I would go to church every Sunday. The decision to become a Christian actually took a lot more time. I would say, I can't really pinpoint a time in which I became a Christian, but it took a good 16 years to even start thinking about it. I was more into it as I was younger. I would go to school and I'd share with people that I'd go to church and it'd be okay. Then one time in year 7, we played a game in RE where we had to find books of the Bible as quickly as we could, and I won every single round. And then people were just like, "Oh man, you're well weird." And then from that point at school, at secondary school, I was like, "Yeah, maybe I should turn it back a little bit." And I started to be a little less vocal, but there was never a point in which I stopped going to church. I think my level of engagement changed as time went on. It fluctuated quite a lot. There'd be times in which I'd be really keen to go and to hear what the Bible said, even though I didn't fully understand it properly. But there'd also be times where I really wouldn't fancy going, but I'd just go to see my friends. It really fluctuated. But yeah, the decision came more towards the end of secondary school. And really, I didn't start changing my life until I started college.
You want to talk a little bit about that? What happened around 16, college?
Yeah, so around the age of 15, 16, I started to become a lot more social, and I'd go to parties and that, and yeah, do all of that stuff. And it was fine, but it wasn't satisfying me. Or I can see that in hindsight. At the time, it was all I was about. I was all about impressing people. I was all about developing my reputation so that I was known by people. Everything that I did was so that I could make new friends, be known, and so on. But there came a point in which I really saw that just was not satisfying me at all. I started to pay more attention at church, and I think probably around that time I heard the gospel, the news that Jesus came to earth to live a life as 100% human, but also 100% God. He went to die for us on the cross, and then that meant that we could be entitled to a relationship with God the Father and be saved, and that we'll be able to get to know him. And I think that's when it really actually hit me about the truth of what that meant. And as I started to read more with friends and particularly with my pastor at the time, I really started to understand what that meant for me. I think particularly the aspect of freedom was something that really meant a lot. I saw that where I seeked approval from people, that was just completely unnecessary with the truth that I knew, the truth of the Bible. Even it says in a book called Romans, it's a letter that a man called Paul wrote to the Romans. In chapter 8, it says, if God is for you, who can be against you? And that's something that really hit me. Just the idea that my whole life I'd been seeking approval, and I was trying to be a personable, relatable, popular person. But that meant absolutely nothing if I was known by God. And that's something that we're all entitled to know.
So you're learning this stuff, and it's affecting your heart and eventually your life. What kind of helped you make that final commitment to it?
So I guess at the time, I was learning all of this stuff. I was reading the Bible for myself a little more regularly, but there was nobody really my age at the same stage as I was that I knew in my close circle. Lots of us were going to church regularly, but it's a very personal journey, and lots of people go through it at different speeds and reach different stages. And it just happened that I was at a different place to lots of other people who are at different places from each other again. So I had a real problem. Maybe problem's not the right word, but I was quite worried about the idea of being alone in my faith. I'd seen that God is always with us. We can cast our anxieties, all of that stuff. But at the time, I felt as though that wasn't enough, and I just didn't think that would be enough, even though it probably would have been. But I started to go to a few conferences, and I started to meet more people my age who were at similar stages to me, who had been through things that I'd been through, could relate entirely to situations that I've been in. And I was able to not only see, so I grew up in quite a white middle class area, so everyone's pretty similar, and I already stood out, but it was really difficult to see diversity. But going to places like that, where I was meeting people of all different ethnicities, upbringings, ages, all of that, in my mind, it clicked that I really actually am not alone at all. There are people all over, not just nationally, but internationally, people all over the world believing the exact same thing as me, reading the exact same book as me, with the exact same truths as me. And that was something that was so encouraging to me, which really helped me make that decision. The final decision to really try and change my life, and to live my life the way that Jesus teaches us to.
So having made that decision, what's life looked like since then? Obviously, you're in Birmingham now, at uni. What's changed? What's that been like?
Yeah, so I think the first point that I'd like to make is that becoming a Christian doesn't make life perfect and easy. In fact, it's very much the same in that respect. Life still happens, things still happens, but knowing the certainty of the truth that I know really encourages me in times that are really difficult. At the beginning of first term of first year, my nan passed away, and death is a very real part of life. But knowing that I could confide in God, and that I could really just open up my heart and talk to the God that I have a relationship with, made that situation so much easier. It was so much more relaxing. Of course, I bereaved, but there was just not the same grief that I would have felt or known, without it. And since I've been able to do things that I would never expected to do within the CU, speak to so many different people. And I guess if you're revisiting the whole aspect that I struggled with about approval and seeking approval, it meant that I didn't jump into the drinking culture, party culture that I know is very popular at uni. I just didn't feel the need, the desire to try and impress people. And I think it's something that it's a trap that we all fall into, wanting to please people and wanting to impress people, and then using alcohol to do so. But I just because of what I knew, because of the experiences that I'd had, I didn't see the need to jump into that. And I think it definitely helped me a lot, because I was able to focus on my studies and my relationships. But knowing God has made, I think, what can be quite a difficult change in one's life. It made it a lot easier.
Thanks, Zach. That's really great.
No worries. Thank you.